Yes.
Vivienne, for people who don't know, tell them a bit more about Chill Dorset.
Okay. Chill Dorset is a hub of Chill UK. Chill was founded in 2020, obviously difficult circumstances around the pandemic, by a gentleman called Mike Morris, who's based in Croyd in Devon. And he identified the fact that people he'd observed were getting benefits from cold water immersion, and then did a bit of research and then set about establishing some hubs, of which there are around 12 now, from Devon right up to Perthshire, so covering quite a broad spectrum of the country. And our aim is to offer people an 8-week safe introduction to cold water immersion. It started off as being very much focused on anxiety and depression, but it's since then grown to cover people who are recovering from cancer or have been, a cancer carer for very many years, those with chronic illnesses, often involving chronic pain and inflammation, such as arthritis, etc. But we've had a very broad spectrum of people, from people with PTSD to Parkinson's. We're a not-for-profit organisation, so we're able to offer those places on the course, either through self-funding or funding through organisations that we talk to. So at the moment, we've got funding from Macmillan and some funding for mental health conditions. So it's in a nutshell, it's an 8-week course, introduction to cold water immersion, covering all the aspects of being safe in the sea, getting in safely, getting out safely, understanding wind, waves, tides, rip currents, and everything you need to know to be a safe user of a body of open water. Obviously, being based in Dorset, that's predominantly about beaches, but some of the other locations are not so much so. Then maybe locks or lakes or places like that. We are also getting involved in a proper study later this year, which is really exciting, to look at some of the real health benefits from a medical perspective of cold water immersion. But through the many courses that I've helped run now as a coach, I've really seen it make a huge difference to people, particularly people experiencing chronic pain or very debilitating illnesses. And they'll come down to the beach looking like they've got the weight of the world on their shoulders and leave with a huge smile. Haven't got freezing cold. So, must be something in it, wasn't there?
Yeah, definitely. So you said that there was funding. What does that actually pay for?
That pays for the lifeguards. It's a fully lifeguarded course. It pays for us to be able to run the course. Obviously, the course is fully insured. We have to have trained coaches available on the course. We have quite a high ratio of coaches and assistants to participants. And it helps us to be able to offer those who qualify a funded place on the 8-week course. So in other words, a free place.
Oh. How did you get involved in Chill Dorset?
How did I get involved? Very good question. I moved down to the coast about 4.5 years ago. I've always loved the water, but never considered myself to be an open water swimmer. But as a result of my own personal circumstances, I got involved in it the year after we moved down, and met some lovely people through that, because you do tend to meet some amazing people when you're in that sort of environment. And then I met a lovely lady called Jo Cox, who's very instrumental in running our hub in Chill Dorset. And she had we were swimming together, we did a cancer research fundraiser together, and then she told me about Chill, and she was actually a participant on the course herself. And as a result of that, she became the coach, and then she encouraged me to become a coach. So it went from there, really. And I started off as a volunteer, and then last year I went down to the main hub in Croyd in North Devon and got my coach's qualification. And since then, I've been running my own courses, which has been brilliant.
From your time as participating and coaching, what has been like a really great success story that just gave you the chills that you had participated in that person's success story?
Well, I think for me personally, it helped me manage grief, which was actually quite profound. I lost my brother to pancreatic cancer at the age of only 66, having also lost another sibling years earlier to cancer. And I think as a result of lockdown and the grief and everything, I really needed something, and found that cold water and the total way it immerses your body and affects your very core, your physiology, cleared my mind and helped me to gain perspective on things, and also a great deal of enjoyment and a lot of wonderful people. And then I wanted to offer something back. I'm retired, so I have more time on my hands. And I thought, well, how can I get involved in something that's going to give back to other people and uses a passion and a skill that I have? So I did. So I got involved, and just seeing the difference it's made to people has just been phenomenal. From them coming down the first day of the course looking very nervous, very anxious, uncomfortable in some cases, because it's, the beach is quite a leveler, but it's quite something. If you've got anxiety, depression, or you're suffering from an illness, just to get yourself down there. And I never underestimate that. And from that, through the 8 weeks of, a lot of nerves, anxiety, often tears, and trembling, to seeing people at the end of the 8 weeks emerging, saying, this has made such a difference to me. This is, in some cases, this has given me my life back. This has given me my confidence back. I felt invisible. I felt I'd lost everything. And now I've got this, and I've made great friends. And there's nothing more heartwarming for me than seeing them, come down to the post-course swim group that we call the Chili Dippers, and seeing them go off to beach saunas together and post things about, oh, so and so and so and so and so and so meeting today, and just remembering what they were like when they first came, and just seeing the huge difference beyond what we've helped them to do. It's given to them as an individual, and that's just marvelous. I can't underestimate or overestimate it enough. It's just amazing to see people giving themselves permission to do things that they love again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how lovely is that?
I think that's so important. Certainly in this day and age, there's a lot about you can't pat yourself on your own back when you've done an achievement. You can't do this, you can't do that. Oh, that's a social faux pas. When really it's not a social faux pas, and it chips away at people life.
Life.
It can do. And having that ability through sea swimming or just in any cold water, body of cold water, just to have that reset and go, actually, I am resilient, I can do this, and I'm actually really good at X, Y, and Z. And there is no shame in that. And the type of people that gravitate to it, it's not them going, oh, come on, you can do it. They're just like quantifying what you're saying by going, yeah, you are. And it's a matter of fact. It's not trying to sugarcoat anything. They're just going, yes, you are resilient. Yes, you can do it. And that can be such a boost. I've felt it before, and it lasts. And that's why everyone keeps coming back, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, you know, when you've seen somebody who's been so sort of trapped inside themselves, if you like, you know, when you see people and you think, gosh, there's an awful lot going on there. And we're very aware, we're coaches, we're not counsellors. We can support and enable, but we're not there to unpack all the emotional stuff that often people come with. To conquering their fears, to getting in that water. And I said to a lady from the last course, if you can conquer the sea in January, you can do anything.
Yeah.
You can absolutely do anything. We had one day where the forecast looked bad, but it actually turned into a blizzard. And there we were on the beach with our lifeguard, actually sheltering in my rented beach hut because it was just unbelievable. And I said to the lifeguard, okay, we'll take them in individually, but do you think it's okay? He's like, yeah, we can do this. And we did. And they all got in and they all got out again. And they just were like, I can't believe it. And I said, well, it's just bragging rights forever, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
You can do that. You can do almost anything. And, you know, it's the fact that it kind of switches something back on inside that isn't just about cold water and isn't just about swimming. It's about self-belief and giving yourself permission to do some sometimes very silly but very fun things.
Yeah.
And hopefully we equip them with the switch in the brain that says today might not be a good day to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, the sea, as you say, is an excellent leveler, and it's one of those things where you look at it going, oh my God, that is such a stunning sight, but absolutely terrifying in the same breath.
Yeah.
So learning that respect for the environment, I always say that you need to respect the environment because it can quite easily kill you.
And it will. The sea is a very tough mistress, and she will change her mind. Sometimes when you're in there, it can change. So having a base of understanding, of knowledge, of listening to your gut, looking at the forecasts, understanding what that's telling you, but then going down there and looking at it and having the courage to say, it might be okay for you, but it's not okay for me today.
Yeah.
And giving yourself permission to be in that lovely environment, but to be and feel safe.
Yeah.
Is so important.
I mean, a promenade walk with lovely sea air is just as good, I think, as well.
Absolutely, and a coffee and a bit of cake or whatever
Always
you
the cake.
always cake. And just the companionship, and that's the other thing of getting people together in relatively small groups. And we've learned that get them to bring their chairs, get them to sit in a little group, and then they start to chat with one another.
What are the group sizes?
Brilliant.
What are the group sizes?
Well, at the moment we're running a group of 9, so I'd say about 8 or 9 people. On this group, we've actually got 2 lifeguards because we've got one gentleman who's got Parkinson's who needs a bit of extra beach entry and exit support. But we have quite a high ratio of coaches and some wonderful volunteers who are mostly ex-Chill participants themselves, who just come along and give of their time. And somebody did that for me yesterday because I wasn't able to go yesterday. So I thought, no, the beach environment is just not the place for me right now because I'm still recovering from this. But wonderful people around who can step up and stand in and help out so that the course is still able to run. So we've got a great team of people around us that, are happy to do that because they themselves have experienced the benefits of that.
So you say it is mostly it's in the south, but what is the end goal for Chill? Because there are groups out there which are really good for building up that community. But what I really like about Chill Dorset is that the knowledge base is there from the beginning, and you've got that safety element of having the lifeguards there. So is it going to, how does one set up a chill St. Bees, say?
Okay, so if anybody wants to set up the hub, they'd go onto the Chill UK website and contact Mike Morris, who's the individual that established Chill, and talk about the practicalities of being able to do that. You know, what kind of spots you have that would enable people with health-related issues to get there. So we like to look for spots where, you know, there's parking, there's toilets, there's maybe some shelter in inclement weather, and relatively easy access to the beach. So not steep slopes, steep steps, difficult terrain. You know, if you're talking about inland lakes, etc. Somewhere where it's safe to get into the water, it's safe to exit the water. And then it's a question of, you know, making sure you've got access to your own lifeguard. You know, and you can get that from the local lifeguarding club or get somebody trained yourself. And then get the training and the knowledge and information and often support initially to be able to start establishing your own group. That's how we started. Will Verling, who's our hub leader, who's a doctor himself, and an open water user. He's a windsurfer with world records and all sorts of things. So he's an amazing guy, but he's a very busy doctor at the same time. He's a consultant paediatrician. So he got to know Mike, and that's how he established our group. And it's become more and more organised and more structured as we've gone on. But when I went on my course, I met two people from Perthshire who were setting up their own group up there. And there are about 12 different hubs across the country now. And it's a question of thinking, well, let me understand this. It's always better, and we always recommend that people, if possible, go on a chill course themselves first. So you get under the skin of it, you really understand what it involves, because since becoming a coach, from being a volunteer before, I've realised just how much is involved in terms of, doing your own local fundraising, recruiting your own participants, qualifying them, organising the courses, making sure you've got, the lifeguard support available, making sure you've got the risk assessment of the local beach or body of water. And then on a weekly basis, you're having to assess conditions, because it never stays still, does it? So that we've had loads of storms this winter. In the sea and in other bodies of water, there can be agricultural runoff, spills into the sea, which impact the water quality. And when you've got immunocompromised people, you cannot take them into water that you have any doubt might be clean or not clean, because we just don't know what's going into our waterways, which is very, very sad, but it's just a fact of life, and you've just got to be aware of that. So on a weekly basis, even when you've set up the course and you've got everybody organised, qualified, ready to come and start the course, on a weekly basis, you're constantly assessing, is it safe? Is it the right environment? Can we hold it where we want to, or are we going to have to decamp to one of the hotel swimming pools that keep their pools open in the winter now, specifically for cold water swimmers, and take them there so that we can give them the cold water immersion experience and talk to them about that week's subject, but there's no substitute for actually being able to run it on the beach. So there's, of course, anyone could look into what it takes to start up a hub, and there are lots of stories on the website about the different hubs in the different locations. Talk to anybody about it, and gain the support where possible to get it established. Will himself has helped set up a group at Lyme Regis, and is currently helping a group in the sort of Weymouth area to get themselves established. We've now got a group at Branksome, whereas we started at Avon. So we're sort of growing across Dorset and, and the South Coast, which is brilliant. It's just making sure that there are more opportunities for people to participate. And we've looked into perhaps in the summer running an after work course, so that people who are still working can commit to that 8 weeks and come along and get the benefits of that. And possibly, if we need to, an all-male group. We do have male participants, but as you'll be well aware, the vast majority of the swimming, the non-competitive, let's put it, open water swim community is female. I'm sure that's been your experience too. I've only got to look at your own lovely videos. It's mainly women, isn't it?
Yeah, and males out there, please participate, because we will welcome you with open arms.
Absolutely, and I'm a member of the local blue tick groups, and we are very welcoming to anybody coming along and giving it a try. And we've been very lucky this current chill course. We've got 3 guys out of the 9. We've got 3 guys, which is fantastic. And I keep saying to them, talk to the guys that that you feel would benefit from this. You probably do know people. And we've got, some regular guys that come along to our Chili Dippers post-course group. So, it's growing in terms of awareness and participation. But some people put, barriers up themselves and think, oh, it's just women that do that. And of course, as you know, one of your fundamental reasons for developing your changing tube is the sort of vulnerability of getting changed and dressed again. That whole of not revealing yourself. And I think some of the guys are very kind of a bit squeamish about that. I can't possibly stand alongside a whole group of females and get dressed and undressed. They might think I'm there for ulterior motives. You mentioned this before. It's wrong to do this. It's wrong to say this. It's wrong to appear to be behaving in a certain way. So I think that in itself can be a bit of a barrier too, Jenny.
Yeah, and I mean, I took my cousin stand-up paddleboarding, and when we were getting changed after, he came over and I was like mid-changing tube.
Yeah.
And he said, I can understand why that's really useful, because I've just bared my backside to the car park. So it's a change tube is useful for men and women, because some people do say, oh, everyone's got bodies and everyone just bare all. And yeah, fine, if you're comfortable with that. But maybe some people viewing aren't.
No,
so it's from both sides, that modesty sort of elements. But talking of kit, what sort of kit should swimmers have to start open water swimming safely, in regards to like the sea?
Well, I feel it's really important to be visible in the sea, particularly in the summer. Even though our beaches are lifeguarded in the summer, you've got an awful lot of water users. So a brightly coloured swim hat, in sort of bright orange, lime green, very bright pink, something that doesn't disappear in the water, a tow float to help you be much more visible. Again, a brightly coloured toe float, so that at least when you're in the water and you're swimming, your head and something behind you is visible. Because I'm sure you've seen it yourself, Jenny, particularly on a choppy day, even in a choppy lake, people disappear. They become, I can't tell you how often I see guys in wetsuits with a black swimming cap on or a blue swimming cap on, and no toe float, and they're out there, they're amazing front crawl swimmers, they just disappear. You know, the waves are coming and going, and you think, are they still out? Are they still out? Oh my God, there they are now. You've got to really, really look for them. And let's face it, you've got an awful lot of inexperienced water users, particularly in the summer, people on paddle boards who really aren't very good at steering them, people on jet skis, that sort of, you know, small dinghies, that sort of thing. You want them to be able to see you, you know, kite surfers, wind surfers, you name it. You want them to be able to see you long before they hit you.
Yeah, I was paddleboarding on Ullswater one summer, and it was quite a calm day, really hot. And I actually told off these boys because they were swimming. They didn't have toe floats. They didn't have hats on, and they were getting further and further out into the water. And I paddled over and said, "You are invisible. There are speedboats out here. Stay close to the shore."
Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't. Well, you know. Listen, you could save their lives by doing that. Rather have your ear clipped than, something terrible happening, which is devastating for them and their families, but also for the people, the other water users too.
Yeah.
So we always talk to people about being seen, and we also talk to people about how you get into the water and how you get out of the water. It's hilarious. It's a bit of a sort of sumo wrestler stance. So we get people to walk side on into the water, because if you think about your sort of center of gravity, if I'm standing in front of you and you push me, I'm going to wobble backwards. If you stand behind me and you push me, I'm going to wobble forwards. But if I'm turning my side to you and I'm sort of hunkering down, in a bit of a squat, and you push me, I've got much more of a center of gravity. So when you're entering water that never stops moving on most days, and on some days is much stronger than others, you don't want to be pushed over before you're deep enough to duck under a wave. So it's about understanding the mechanics of the water, the days where it isn't just wind swell that's creating the waves, but it's ground swell, which is further apart but much stronger when it hits you. And certainly not posing for a picture as you're getting out with this massive wave building behind you that you've not bothered to actually look at. So thinking about how you get in and out of the water as a result of all the storms we have, the beach topography changes. So you might encounter a dip as you go in. You might encounter some slightly sinking shingle. We haven't got mud or anything here. They have in some other locations. But, different things that destabilize you as you go in. We always recommend water shoes so that you're not treading on anything nasty that's going to injure you. Or have you ever heard of something called a weaver fish?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Do they have a tail that goes up?
Yeah, they lurk in the shallows, and it's their sort of spine, their fin, that just pokes out. And if you tread on it, it will give you something like a really, really bad bee sting on your foot, which is actually quite excruciating. And also, when the seabed is changing, it's a bit like a lake bed as well. You don't know what you're treading on, do you? Sharp stone, somebody might have dropped something in the sea. You don't want to be destabilizing yourself. So we always say, even in summer, wear shoes. In the winter, don't only be visible, but be warm. So wear a hat, wear neoprene gloves, wear little booties that come up over your ankles, just to keep you insulated and help you to feel more comfortable and warm in the environment. but for us, it's about safety, is about safe entry, safe exit, assessing whether it's safe for you to go in, and be visible and swim with somebody else. Don't swim on your own. And if the conditions are such, or the weather is such, just swim parallel to the shore. So when you've had enough, if you're suddenly experiencing that swim incapacitation, that stiffness of muscles from having gotten too cold, which can be different on every day, you can get out and walk safely back. You might get cold, but you'll be safe. Whereas if you swum out to that lovely boy that's, you know, presenting you with an amazing challenge, and the weather is simply too cold for that length of time in the water, you've still got to turn around and swim back. And I don't know if you've heard of swim failure or swim incapacitation, or have experienced it yourself, but literally your muscles from the sort of backs of your arms and then sort of increasing throughout your body just become stiff, and your swim stroke starts to suffer. You start to slow down, you start to lose coordination, and then in the end you can end up climbing the ladder literally like that in the water, just trying to stay afloat. If that really does kick in, and I have felt the start of it one day, that was on the backs of my arms, and I thought, oh gosh, this feels a bit weird, but because I knew what it was, I got out. The other benefit of a toe float, it is not a buoyancy aid, it is not a lifesaver, but it is something that you can float on for a while to get your breath back.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. And unfortunately, we are coming up to our last couple of moments. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for having a chat with me about Chill Dorset. And if anyone wants to get involved, get on the website. So what is the website?
Would you like me to send you the link of the website?
Yeah, I'll pop in the link below.
That would be brilliant. But if you just search Chill UK, you'll get Chill CIC come up, but I will send you the link to the website.
Excellent.